Hello everybody, I'm George from Ireland. So here I am in the United Kingdom, Northern Ireland, and this is the world famous Free Derry corner. So we're on the west bank of the River Foyle in this city. So this was the overwhelmingly Catholic area of the city, and don't want to go into the whole background of it, but anyway, there were clashes between some of the local people and the Royal Ulster Constabulary, that was the police, but the B Specials. B Specials were part-time police officers, and so some people built barricades here to try and keep the police out, so people couldn't drive in and out. You might say, but what about the local people here in the Bogside? They couldn't drive in and out if you dig up the roads and build barriers. But that's true, but like 1969, very few people around here could afford cars. Cars only just become affordable for working class people in the British Isles, and it was a very working class area. Northern Ireland, the poorest region of the UK. Derry poorer than Belfast, the Bogside poorer than the Waterside, so virtually nobody would own a car back then. And it was Operation Motorman a few years later when the security forces came in and cleared all that away. But for a couple of years, Derry seemed to have unofficially seceded from, the Bogside anyway, from the United Kingdom without actually joining the Republic of Ireland. Although some people wanted that, and the Irish Constitution, said that this is part of our state, Northern Ireland. And so some of the Irish Republican Army, a terrorist organisation, could and did say that we're simply trying to enact the Irish Constitution. So this was printed sometime later. Perhaps ironically, the flag fluttering aloft there is not the Irish tricolour, that's a flag of Palestine. Now, I've got a lot of sympathy for Palestinian freedom, but I'm not an Irish nationalist, I'm a unionist, so I think they shouldn't mix the two. It's unhelpful. The two situations are not comparable, and it puts off people who might otherwise be sympathetic to Palestinian sovereignty. Palestine is a nation by almost any definition, recognised as such by the majority of sovereign states in the world. The 32-county republic isn't recognised by anybody, not even by the Republic of Ireland. We recognise that's not the case. Remember the Good Friday Agreement referendum, and Republic of Ireland, about 95% of people voted yes to recognise that Northern Ireland is part of the United Kingdom, so partition is extremely popular. Anyway, look, here is this memorial to IRA terrorists with the names of them. Oglach as in volunteer, that's the lowest rank. Some don't even have a rank, and the coats of arms of the 4 provinces of Ireland. It's got the original Ulster one, as in the red hand, a yellow field, not white, and no 6 pointed star for 6 counties. Because Ulster historically was 9 counties, not 6. So Donegal, Cavan and Monaghan in the Republic, as well as Fermanagh, Antrim, Derry, Down, Armagh, and which one am I forgetting? I can't remember. So I know it's Fat Dad or Fat Lad. Well, let's go for Fat Dad. Fermanagh, Antrim, Tyrone, yeah. Derry, Armagh, Down. Okay, but Derry, some people call it Londonderry. And look at this sovereignty, not Stormont, 32 county sovereignty community. So that's the dissident Republicans, those who reject the Good Friday Agreement. I say there's this mythical 32 county republic exists as in Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland. Therefore, the Irish government is illegitimate. Northern Ireland is not part of the United Kingdom, and so on. So it used to be the real IRA or continuity IRA. I don't even know what they call themselves these days. Fascinating. But I was last here in 1999, and the housing's all in good shape, because obviously Republican terrorism was trying to destroy this city, keep unemployment high. The Trotskyite slogan, the worse the better. If the situation's quite good, people say, let's live in peace. Well, make them sure they have nothing to lose. Look, it's written in Irish, Derry Brigade, Volunteers of Ireland, as in the Irish Republican Army. They call themselves that, Volunteers of Ireland, Oglach na hÉireann. Although ironically that alludes to the to sort of 1683, time of the American Revolution, when Irish volunteers were founded here. And they wanted legislative independence for the Irish Parliament, which was an all-Protestant Parliament back then. The Roman Catholic majority we weren't even allowed to vote back then. But nevertheless, it certainly recognised that the King of Ireland was our rightful king. That was George III. Didn't question that we have some sort of connection with Great Britain. But I suppose it's historical ignorance that, and when the Irish Volunteers were founded again in 1913, that they should use that same name. Won't go into, but they split in the First World War. Should they support the war effort, part of the United Kingdom, or not? And those who launched that rising in Easter 1916, some of them were Irish volunteers. Patrick Pearse won. Irish National Volunteers, the majority, they said, okay, we're part of the United Kingdom, we'll support this war effort against Germany. Okay, and look at various people who were killed fighting around here. But actually, by the early 90s, the Crown forces had largely won in Derry, and there were almost no attacks. And I know a guy who was an army officer in Derry in the early 90s. He said the intelligence boys, they knew which room Martin McGuinness was in some of the time. They almost always knew which building he was in, although Martin McGuinness, a local notorious terrorist, and I know he's got plenty of admirers in Derry, who was trying to bomb the heart out of his own city. So fortunately, he lost. So look, the H Block monument. So these H blocks were built in the Maze prison, which has since been closed, formerly an RAF base, Long Kesh. Republicans often like to call it Long Kesh rather than Her Majesty's Prison, the Maze. So they were H-shaped buildings. So they were, anyway, very humanely treated, which just shows how glorious the Crown forces are, how humane the people, even these utterly detestable terrorists trying to destroy democracy, were treated so gently. So there was no death penalty in the United Kingdom at the time. Last person executed in the UK was in 1963, and in Northern Ireland not since about 1961. So despite that, in almost any other country they would have been executed. Bear in mind that in 1969 it was way more widespread. So what else would I say? Anyway, so there's some guys went on hunger strike. Initially, they'd been sort of recognised as prisoners of war. IRA didn't have to wear prison uniforms, and the INLA, Irish National Liberation Army, or indeed the loyalist terrorists could organise themselves. Whoever they declared was the officer commanding, he would be in contact with the prison warden, prison governor. So I think initially actually guarded by the army, not by the prison service. But eventually, in the late 70s, that was taken away, because some of them were interned from 1971 onwards. That was phased out by the end of 1975. So some of the early 70s were not actually convicted of anything. They were there as internees, because the security situation was so bad that the courts couldn't cope. Then they were prosecuted through the courts, found guilty of their crimes of murder, of kidnapping, of setting off explosions with intent to endanger life, and so forth. But that was taken away. They're criminals. Doesn't matter if your motivation is political or not. It's a crime. And so some of them went on strike about this, a blanket protest, refusing to wear prison uniforms, so therefore they're not allowed visits, they're not allowed out for exercise, only allowed the Bible, no other books, and things like that. So that's it, and then I can see the walls of Derry up there. Oh yeah, and that's Apprentice Boys Hall up there, and then the cathedral, St. Columba's Cathedral behind me. So quite affordable housing here, and look, two nations, one struggle. Well, obviously Israel's atrocities against Gaza are utterly sickening, but you don't need to link that to the Republican movement or Irish nationalism. I mean, the tricolour, that's my flag. I'm Irish by ethnicity, by citizenship. The Union flag is also my flag. There'd be no contradiction between that. I'm British precisely because I'm Irish. But so I just don't think we should blend the two. It's a distraction. You want the broadest coalition support you can get. Anyway, it's almost all 20th century housing, and it's good quality housing, because one of the many complaints in 1969 is there wasn't good enough housing. So various people who are actually not part of the IRA, local civilians, shot dead by the security forces. Okay, and so the security forces are obviously not blameless, and they are subject to the law as well. And there were members of the Royal Ulster Constabulary, that's the police, or the army, who committed crimes, some of them serious crimes, occasionally as far as murder. Heard about cases of some woman listening to music in her drawing room being shot in the face. Fortunately, she survived. Now, if the man deliberately shot her, knowing her not to be a threat, that's attempted murder. Or a woman sitting in her garden, and she was shot dead by a British soldier. So, I mean, unless it was an accident, as in he thought he was aiming at a terrorist and missed, or was aiming at someone else and it ricocheted, if he did that deliberately, then obviously that's murder. But I don't think he was prosecuted. So some people were not prosecuted who ought to have been prosecuted, and that is a complaint. But obviously the misconduct, even murder by the security forces, was a consequence and not a cause of the Troubles. Put it this way, it wasn't happening in 1967. All right, anyway, so that's more about the Bogside. Just could be anywhere else in the United Kingdom, or indeed Republic of Ireland, because, you know, Irish, British, no difference really. We are one of the British peoples, along with the Welsh, the Scots, and the English. So Northern Ireland a little bit different from the Republic. That's it. Okay, God save the King. Thanks for watching my video. Goodbye.